G'day guys, and welcome back today to another cooking video. Today we have another camp special for you guys, and one of my favourite dishes of all time, lamb ragu. Now this dish traditionally probably isn't something that you cook at camp, but I'm going to show you today how easy it is to cook at camp. It does take a little bit of time, but it's absolutely doable. So again, we're using the new rear setup on the back of the Pajero here, and we're going to get stuck right into it. So this may look like a lot. Everything that we're using is right here. I will pop quantities up on the screen for you guys now while I explain it, but we've pretty much got basic veg, celery, carrot, onions, got some crushed tomatoes, tomato paste. I've got a kilo of lamb shoulder. You can use lamb leg, whatever floats your boat, doesn't really matter. I have diced it myself as well into some fairly chunky pieces. Remember, we're going to be slow cooking this one, so the bigger the better. I've got 250 grams thereabouts of bacon or pancetta, whatever you got. Again, some rosemary, and if you like me and you're on the spicy bus, I've got some chilies. You don't have to put the chilies in, but I do like putting chilies in things, so pretty much that's it. Then I've just got some beef stock here. You can use beef, chicken or lamb stock, doesn't really matter. And then the most important ingredient, just some cheap red wine for this one. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, quantities will be up right now, but let's get stuck right into this. Suppose I should probably move this stuff out of the way. So the first step, guys, is going to be to chop all of the veg up. So we're going to chop up the onions, the carrots and the celery all into a bowl. Now, I should mention this before we start. We are slow cooking, but I'm still going to be chopping it up fairly fine for this. It's good, guys, as well to have a scrap bowl while you're doing this type of stuff. Chuck your scraps right in, or even chuck them straight into the bin bag if you've got one laying around. So like I said, the finer the better probably for stuff like this, but we are slow cooking, so you can go a little bit chunky monkey if you want, that's fine. Alright, so now that we've got all the vegetables chopped up, if you're planning on adding chili in, you just add it in here with your veg. You don't have to. Again, like I said, it really depends on if you like spicy things or not. There we go. So now, all that's ready to go. Next step is to dice up all of your bacon. Alrighty, get that diced up in a bowl. There we go. Now, last step here is going to be just getting some cloves of garlic out of here. So you can use as much garlic as you like. I'm going to be using a whole head here. You can use more, you can use less. It's really up to you. So once you've separated the garlic from head, you got rid of all that crap around the outsides. So I'm going to trim off the end bit here, and you just want to chop it up however you like. Just keep in mind, the thinner you chop it, the quicker it will cook, and we don't want that. So if you chop it heaps thin and it ends up being like sand, it's going to cook like that, and we really don't want that. We're slow cooking here. We want to allow a little bit more time there. Alright, so moving over here now, guys, you want to put on your pan, you want to put some olive oil in there, and you want to get that nice and hot. The first step is going to be, we want to brown off our lamb. Alright, so once that stuff's nice and hot, chuck in the lamb. And pretty much just cook it until it goes brown. That's as simple as it is. Alrighty, guys, so once the lamb is pretty much well browned off, just want to take it out, put it back in the bowl. In there with a little bit more oil. And then in with your bacon. So once the bacon's in there, I'm going to let that cook off for a few minutes. Now, it's alright if there's some stuff sticking to the bottom or the sides, because we're going to deglaze all this in a minute. Alright, now that's fried off in the veg. I'll let this cook off for a few minutes, let it reduce down a bit. Alright, once that cooked off for a bit, in with the garlic. All right, then in with a couple of sprigs of rosemary. People do put thyme in this often, you can put thyme in, but the rosemary just does me. So once that's cooked down a fair bit, add in some red wine. Using about half a bottle here. And that is just going to deglaze the bottom of our pan. So just scrape off all the stuff off the bottom quickly, and then add the lamb back in there. You can add the lamb back in before you put in the red wine, although I put it back on top just so it makes it just that bit easier to scrape up all the stuff off the bottom. Just want to stir that through there. This pot's a bit full. It's alright, should have used a bigger pot. Alright, now once the booze is cooked off for a little while, you're going to add in about 2 tins of crushed tomatoes. As well as about 2 tablespoons or so of tomato paste. This is full. I really should have used a bigger pot for this, guys. This is so full right now, but it is going to cook down for a very, very long time. So shouldn't be the end of the world. All right, so once this starts to come to the boil, we want to add in our final ingredient, which is going to be either beef, chicken or lamb stock, preferably chicken or lamb. I only have beef stock at the moment, so that's going to have to do. Just add that in. Bring that all to the boil, and then turn it down to low, and then you're going to let it cook for about 2.5 hours. Wow, talk about tight spaces, guys. That is probably the closest to full I've ever had this pan. Ideally, you'd use a bigger pan, but I'm going to pop the lid on that now. So to accompany this dish, we are going to serve it with some rigatoni pasta. That's traditionally what it's served with. You can serve it with other types of pasta, any type of pasta you want, but when you're cooking the pasta, you want to cook it to al dente, which is just a little bit undercooked. Still got a little bit of a bite to it. It's not quite soft yet, because that is going to allow us to cook it through and mix it through with the ragu later on without it going slushy and going everywhere. So like I said at the start, guys, this one really does take some time to cook. It takes about 2.5 hours, so it's really good if you set up somewhere and you've got a little bit of time on your hands. It's an absolutely awesome dish to have at camp, I reckon. It's an awesome dish to have at home even. If you feel like cooking this at home, you cook this anywhere you like. It is quite simple. I mean, there is a little bit to it, but I find that most people take this type of stuff with them anyway. Fairly similar ingredients to spaghetti bolognese, although cooked a little bit differently, different style of sauce to that. So I guess the only good thing about using half a bottle of wine for this is that you can drink the other half while you sit around the campfire waiting for this dish to cook. Like I said, this is one of my absolute favorites. It does take a while to cook, but it's absolutely worth it. Ragu is cooked very similarly to bolognese. It has a very similar recipe to bolognese. In fact, you use a lot of the same base ingredients. So if you're already cooking things like spaghetti bolognese around camp, guys, something like this will be really easy to whip up out of the same ingredients. So like I said at the start, guys, before you attempt doing something like this, make sure your butane cooker or gas cooker, whatever you're using, has enough fuel to get you through. If you are cooking this out remotely in the bush, the last thing you want is to run out of gas halfway through your cooking. So when we're done this, the lamb should literally just fall apart. When you're cooking with tougher cuts like shoulder or leg, they're really, really good for slow cooking. They literally just fall apart at the end. It's what I'm really looking forward to in this one. So guys, if you guys want to see more dishes like this, often maybe sometimes that you would consider a delicacy at home maybe, made really simple and cooked up at camp, guys, make sure you leave your suggestions down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to whip up a really simple, really easy recipe for you guys so that you can cook stuff like this out in the bush. Now, the main purpose of doing all these cook-ups while we're in lockdown, and even while after this little lockdown ends, guys, is to inspire you guys to cook good food while you're out at camp. I've now got the setup available to do that for you guys, and I really want to inspire people not only to get out there, but to eat well while you are out there. As I said, I am a chef. It is my my thing, I guess you could say, to cook, and there's nothing better, I feel, than having a really good meal while you're out at camp. Yeah, you can get by on the 2-minute noodles and stuff like that. It does, yeah, and often I do that, but there's nothing more satisfying, I think, than cooking up a really good meal that you enjoy while you're sitting around at camp. It's really, really satisfying, and that, I want to share that with you guys and give you guys some inspiration on things that you can cook up at camp as well. So leave them down in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get around to them. Alrighty guys, so once this comes to the boil, like I said a few times already, we want to turn it down to low, and then you want to time yourself 2.5 hours. Of course, check on it occasionally and see how things are going. Give it a little stir, but roughly about 2.5 hours is the happy medium on when this is going to be fully cooked, and it's going to be at that perfect stage where the lamb is just going to fall apart. So I guess in the meantime guys, this gives you plenty of time to pack up and prepare whatever sides that you're going to serve with this. Like I said, I'm going to be serving this with rigatoni pasta. You can use whatever pasta that you like, and you can also drink the rest of the red wine in the process. So I'm going to get into packing up and I'll see you when this is cooked. Alrighty guys, it has been 2 hours since we set our little timer, and just have a look at that. That is exactly what we are after. This stuff literally just falls apart. Tell you what, the best way to check if it's done is to try a piece, literally. Ooh, bit hot there. Absolutely. Absolutely perfect. Now I was a little bit worried about this one, because you guys seen how high the pot was up there, but I guess just having that extra liquid in there allowed this to cook through just that extra while longer. The longer you cook this for, the better it's going to taste. The same with all tomato-based sauces. The longer they cook, the longer they sit, the better. So we're going to let that sit for a little while now. So after it's sat for about 10 minutes to cool down a little bit and just develop those flavors, you want to let it mingle a little bit with the heat off there, maybe about 10-15 minutes while you get your pasta and that ready and everything else ready to serve up. Just let those flavors mingle, mix it through, and then you want to serve it up with your pasta, guys. And that is exactly how you do it in a restaurant. So guys, that is going to do us for this cook up, guys. It did take a fair bit of time to cook through. It did make a little bit of a mess on the old cooktop because of how full it was, but it turned out perfect in the end. I couldn't be happier with this very simple lamb ragu that we've made here today, guys. This is something so easy that you guys can make at camp. All you need is a little bit of time and a little bit of preparation, and you can have something this amazing at camp. So if you enjoy, guys, remember, hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos like this, because there are plenty more coming, as well as leave your suggestions down in the comment section below if you guys want to see me cook something up nice and simple for you guys at camp. That is pretty much going to do us for this one, guys. As always, we will see you in the next adventure.